A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Rick Heyman here from Sauter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sauterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you can bring a friend anytime and so much more when you join today. You heard that right. Conquer the stair climber with your partner in climb. Enjoy a post-workout recovery session in the hydro massage and do it all again with access to any of our 2,700 convenient locations. So, you coming? Get all the perks with the PF Black Card for $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry! You won't want to miss this exclusive offer. Deal ends June 13th.
See Club for details.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Be at the 32nd Annual Testicle Festival for some fun, rain or shine. Free entry for military. It's at Round the Bend Steakhouse in Ashland, June 14th from 11 to 10. Take I-80 exit 426, roundthebendsteakhouse.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. One final hour here at Wilderness Ridge Golf Course for the Amon Green Foundation Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament. It has been a fantastic day. We have had a bunch of fun here at the golf tournament. Big thank you, as always, to our hosts at Wilderness Ridge. To all the participants who were golfing, to all the sponsors who helped make this possible. It's been a really fun day. The only problem is that it's winding down in the next hour or so. Pretty much everyone is in off the course or on their way in, waiting to see who the winners are. I had a leaderboard popped up before on the inside of the little area next to us. I'm not able to see the scores very well here through the window. So maybe we'll get Nick or Jake to pop on and tell you how the day went, who they saw that was golfing well, who it was outside of Jake that was potentially golfing poorly. 402-464-5685. I would love to know what's on your mind here throughout this hour of Old School. Excuse me. As always, Old School is sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Check out their selections online at themercadobutcher.com or at any of their 4 local locations. They're in Lincoln at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill just down the street from us here at Wilderness Ridge, and 85th and Old Cheney here in Lincoln. Or you can also visit them at 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. Let's go to the mercadobutcher.com / Fired Up Fridays. They don't have the new menu posted yet. alas. I was going to tell you what to watch out for Fired Up Thursday, which is out on their 85th and Old Cheney location. That's coming up in just a few days from now. Hopefully they get that posted soon. Last week's Fired Up Thursday was a Philly cheesesteak with highest quality Mercado beef. And then Friday at the North 84th Street location, there 84th and Havelock, it was a green chili cheesesteak burrito. Fascinating, probably delicious. So again, the mercadobutcher.com/fired up Fridays. If you want to check out the Mercado for lunch, you can certainly do that. I know we talk a lot about everything they have to grill, all their fun sides, their pre-prepared meals, all that great stuff. You can also stop by those 85th in Old Cheney and 84th and Havelock locations if you want lunch at the end of your work week. Friends, let's talk some College World Series. We have 7 of the 8 teams in place right now. We are only awaiting one final qualifier for Omaha. It'll be determined tonight. It'll be either Murray State, the Racers, or the Duke Blue Devils making an appearance in Omaha. Pretty darn fun field being set so far in Omaha. Scrolling through who's made it so far, obviously you have Louisville taking down Miami. Oregon State and Florida State played a really fun super regional up there in Corvallis. Arizona came back from down a game. They won the last 2 at the Chapel Hill Super Regional. Coastal Carolina dispatched of Auburn, even though that series was down in Stricktown, USA. Arkansas took down Tennessee in 2 games. LSU took down West Virginia in 2 games. And then it was UCLA over UTSA in 2 games. So again, we're just awaiting that Murray State and Duke winner. That series is tied at 1. A couple interesting notes here as we look at this field. First of all, 2025 will be the first time in the entire super regional era, dating back to the 1999 tournament, that no team that made it to the College World Series the year before will be back in Omaha. Think about that. 8 brand new faces this year compared to last year. Okay, that's just interesting to look at. Last year's field, North Carolina hosted a regional, hosted a super regional, didn't make it out. Virginia didn't make the tournament despite being a preseason top 25, I think even a top 5 team potentially. Tennessee hosted a regional, went on the road to Arkansas, conference rival for supers, didn't make it out. Florida State, as I mentioned, just got bounced in the supers, had to travel up to Corvallis. Kentucky made it back to the tournament, didn't make it out of their regional. North Carolina State didn't make it out of their regional. A&M, of course, missed the tournament. And there were a lot of fireworks for Florida and Coach Kevin O'Sullivan, but they didn't make it out of the Conway, South Carolina regional. Pardon me as I take a drink there. When you look at the RPI of the teams left standing, right now the number 1 RPI team, and this is according to Warren Nolan, excuse me, it's Arkansas. Arkansas is the highest rated team remaining in the field. Number 2 is Coastal Carolina. According to Warren Nolan's site, and I'll pull up the NCAA RPI as well, just to make sure I get this right, because not every place formulates everything exactly the same, but I know it's going to be pretty close. So yeah, according to Warren Nolan, Coastal Carolina is the 3rd best team in the country. 2nd best team left standing. It's Arkansas, Vandy, and then Coastal. According to the NCAA's RPI, Coastal Carolina is all the way down, only at number 8. But still a top 10 team, top 8 in RPI, making it to the final 8 of the college baseball season. Coastal Carolina has been absolutely incredible this year. 26-4 in conference play, 27-3 at home, 20-7 on the road, and 6-1 at neutral sites. There's that. You scroll through their schedule. They lost back-to-back games against Charleston, in Alabama there in mid to late February. They lost to North Carolina in the first game of their series to East Carolina, but ended up winning that series against the Pirates. Lost in 7 innings to Wake Forest. They got run ruled, and then they went on quite a bit of a run. Won 5 games in a row. Lost a couple to a pretty solid Troy team inside the top 50 in RPI, and then they just couldn't stop winning series from there. Got run ruled by Wake Forest again, but other than that, there's a lot of green on the ledger. In fact, from April 26th starting off their series against James Madison. The Chanticleers have not lost. I had to double check to make sure I got that right. It's been since April 22nd that Coastal Carolina has lost a game. They lost 4-2 on the road at Charleston, a top 100 RPI team. And then since then, sweep James Madison, beat UNC Greensboro, sweep App State, get a home win over number 12 Clemson in the non-con, sweep Louisiana Monroe, sweep Old Dominion. You get into the Sun Belt tournament, beat Georgia Southern, beat Marshall twice, beat Southern Miss, who was ranked number 14 at the time, 7-5 in the Sun Belt tournament championship game. Blast Fairfield, blast East Carolina, win it 1-0. They only played 3 games in the Conway Regional that they hosted. And then they sweep through the Auburn Regional. Game 1 was a good one, 7-6 in 10 innings. Had that rain delay starting that game off. But Coastal Carolina prevails with a run in the 10th, keeping Auburn off the board. Then they win a tidy, no muss, no fuss, 4-1 victory against Auburn. That's a game, of course, that Auburn scored first. This is a really good Auburn team, somehow up to number 4 in the country in RPI. Not exactly what you expect from Auburn as a solid baseball program, but Ike Irish has been a stud for them all year long. And Coastal Carolina, maybe not dominated that super regional, but if you win it 11-7, it's not exactly an accident. Again, that first game did take them 10 innings to get done, and Coastal had a lead in that one. I forget exactly what it was. I mean, they were up. At one point, it was 6-1. They had scored in 3 straight innings. Auburn scored in 4 straight innings then to tie the game. The next run was scored from the 7th inning to the 10th inning was the next time that anyone got on the board. And, of course, that ended up being Coastal Carolina to win that. And, of course, the cool thing about Coastal Carolina is that they won a College World Series championship back in 2016. One of those neat little underdog stories. And an interesting note on that, too, is Coastal Carolina's coach, one of his young children back in 2016 was suffering strokes at the time that Coastal Carolina was playing for the College World Series. So his kids weren't able to make the trip to Omaha. But now they're back in the College World Series, and it sounds like everything is well with the family. Health is in order. So the whole family, will end up making the trip to Omaha, which has the potential to be pretty cool. Of course, with them in the bracket is Arizona, the team, funny enough, that Coastal Carolina ended up beating in that 2016 championship series. But again, let's think about this. 8 teams last year that made the College World Series, none of them, not a one of them, will be back in Omaha this year. It is brand new blood. Of course, only to a point. When you look at a team like Oregon State, certainly no stranger to Omaha. Arkansas has been here a time or two. LSU is probably the best news for downtown Omaha businesses in a while. So it's not like these teams are new, going to be scared by the scene. UCLA hasn't been to Omaha in a minute since the early mid-2010s. Excuse me. You have Oregon State and Louisville, right? Louisville, somewhat new. They're maybe the underdog story here. But if we scroll through the matchups right now, it's looking like that rematch between Arizona and Coastal Carolina in the first round, LSU and Arkansas in the first round. And I get it's how the bracket shapes up. So I'm not saying this is anyone's fault. I'm not saying they need to, just on a whim, amend the bracket. But LSU and Arkansas would be an incredible title series. And we get that matchup in the first round. You get Oregon State, I assume, will be a favorite over Louisville in the first round. The 2016 storyline, when you look at it between Coastal Carolina and Arizona, is going to be a blast to follow. And then UCLA versus some pretty new blood, whether it's Murray State or Duke. But if you listen to those teams and you think through, hey, there's not a lot of overrepresentation here, good, that makes sense. Last year, only 2 conferences were represented in Omaha. You can guess which 2 they are. I don't have to tell you. You would know they're the SEC and the ACC. But right now, there are 6 conferences represented, and if Murray State wins, it'll be 7. The SEC has LSU and Arkansas. ACC has Louisville. The Big 12 has Arizona. The Big 10 will send UCLA back to Omaha, where, of course, they lost to Nebraska in the Big 10 championship game, same field. Oregon State representing the Pac-12 or an independent. And then, of course, the Sun Belt, a really sneaky good baseball league, sending Coastal Carolina. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty good depth for college baseball. And I do think as we move into the revenue sharing era of college basketball that we've been spending a lot of time talking about here today, it's going to be really interesting to see what it does to baseball, how that goes, right? We know that the SEC and the ACC invest heavily, invest strongly in baseball. The Big 12 as well. It'll be curious to see, the Sun Belt. How heavily will they invest in football? Will they urge their schools to go the baseball route? That's been a really good baseball conference, right? Conference USA, I think, is in maybe not the exact same boat, but a similar one to some degree. Will the revenue sharing era provide more parity, less parity, or will it keep things the same in college baseball? I think that ideally the revenue sharing era of maybe the SEC teams will be pouring more money into their football programs, maybe their men's basketball programs after I don't even know if I should call it a resurgence or just their surgence this last year with a historically strong men's basketball conference. Obviously, the SEC likes its perch atop college baseball. But when the funds come from the athletic department, how will they break it down? Will they, back off football a little bit? Will they back off men's basketball a little bit? Probably not. But then where does the money for baseball come from? Well, you'd say it probably comes from NIL. Okay, well, now we still have to determine of, those $600 deals that have to be reported, anything more than that, will the SEC want to play, with that many deals? Will it find ways to say, yeah, for baseball, this is market rate? I still think most of the big deals will be done in football, maybe a few in men's basketball, potentially volleyball and softball as well. College baseball is fun, right? I hope you've listened to On the Block and Old School long enough and heard me and Nick chat enough about it that college baseball is fun. And there should be some players there that are superstars, certainly in the national picture. But plain and simple, there's just not, right? It's very rare to find a Paul Skeens. And what worked out really well for LSU and for Paul Skeens is that he had hype coming into the year at LSU, right? Heroes and legends are made in Omaha. We know that, and it's great. But college baseball doesn't have those guys, those players that are dominating headlines throughout the year. And, that's not a bad thing necessarily. But when you look at how college baseball is going to be financed and what it takes to draw people into the sport and make sure these big money deals that I think the SEC might need to continue its dominance, the ACC to a lesser degree as well, will these collectives, will these schools, I guess mostly collectives for the NIL, will they be able to prove that this is market value? Will they be able to prove that this is within the reasonable range of compensation when they want to pay their players a lot? I don't know what the average SEC baseball player is making, and I don't know how this is going to be judged. Will baseball NIL contracts be compared against other baseball NIL contracts? That would, I think, be the safest, smartest way to do this, because if you're comparing, football contracts to baseball contracts across college sports, my guess is there's going to be quite the discrepancy. So I think when I look at how I want this NIL clearinghouse, NIL Go, the portal sponsored, not sponsored by, but maintained by Deloitte, football deals should be compared to football deals, basketball to basketball. Keep it same across the sports, right? I don't think that you want to use TV ratings as a measure for what's popular. I would let the market determine, if someone's willing to pay X, is someone else willing to pay X? Or is this above and beyond what most people say fits in their budget to pay a student athlete of X sport or Y sport for their appearance? So it's going to be really, really interesting to monitor and see how some of these deals get graded, how they go down, because I think the SEC and the ACC have some, some legitimate claims, having the history, having the tradition for good reasons. But then you see this year's SEC get 13 teams into the tournament by virtue of the benefit of the doubt, essentially, right? And we saw certainly Nebraska look outclassed by a mid-range SEC team in Oklahoma. But then the next question is, how real is the SEC's flameout? Is this a sign of things to come? Or is this just baseballing, right? Strick talks about life be life, and did the baseball just be baseballing, right? I mean, you don't expect Vanderbilt, the overall number 1 seed, to lose multiple times on its own home field and not even make it to a super regional, among other examples, right? Texas lost to UTSA. You don't expect that. And on the one hand, that's part of the beauty of college sports, the beauty of college baseball. The flip side of that is I would say, yeah, that's just baseball. Sometimes it's your weekend, sometimes it's not. Sometimes the team gets hot, sometimes the team gets cold. And I think that's part of why college baseball is so special, is because there's just so much randomness in a sport like baseball where it can't be a one and done type of deal. But baseball, you also get the opportunity to double down, right? You've got to win a series. It's one thing to win a game, but winning a series is what's most important. And that's where you look at what, Wright State knocking Vanderbilt out was absolutely a huge deal. UTSA over Texas was obviously a big deal as well. So there's a lot to get to when you think about this. And we think about it in baseball too. Thanks to 11.7 College Baseball on Twitter for this list. Regional 4 seeds to reach a super regional, right? 2006 Missouri. 2008 Fresno State. I believe that team made it to Omaha. 2012 Stony Brook made it to Omaha. 2014 Charleston. 2015 VCU. 2017 Davidson. South Florida in 2021. 2023 Oral Roberts that made it all the way to Omaha. 2024 Evansville. 2025 now Murray State. There's some real beauty in baseball of having these underdogs make it a long way, right? And I feel like in baseball, there's not the same stigma or same feeling where people like upsets on day 1 and day 2 of the NCAA tournament, but then they want a high-powered, Elite 8 and Final 4. I think in baseball, in Omaha, giving more schools the chance to make it to Charles Schwab Field, to make it to Rosenblatt back in the day, to experience the greatest show on dirt for the first time. Obviously, you'll hear differently from the SEC and the ACC, but I think it's really good for college baseball that we can still have stories like potentially Murray State, right? Like Coastal Carolina, obviously not a 4 seed back in the day, but not a household name. Find a way to turn itself into a household name and become a power player type of program. I mean, they dominated the Sun Belt in a lot of ways this year, hosted a regional, went on the road for a super as probably an underseeded 13 seed, and took care of number 4 seed Auburn in just 2 games. So we're really looking forward to that. Of course, we will be up at the College World Series starting at the end of the week, and then we'll be there next week for a handful of days as well. Got a fun text from Cubsker here on our text line. We'll get to that when we get back to Old School. It's brought to you by Certified Piedmontese, by the Mercado, of course. We're out here at Wilderness Ridge for another 40 minutes or so. We'll have more Old School next on the ticket.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's specials through June 10th are $1 off per pack of Plum Creek chicken, $1 off all bacon, and 15% off cheese and crackers. Plus, stop by for lunch on Fired Up Thursday at the Mercado East or Fired Up Friday at the Mercado North. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney and Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Lincoln's new craft cocktail lounge is Bar 48 in Lincoln. Located at 2639 North 48th Street, Bar 48 offers everything from cocktails to beer to wine and so much more. With summer right around the corner, you can always enjoy Bar 48's frozen beverages. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on their live music performances every Saturday night. Make plans to visit Bar 48 on North 48th Street in the heart of the University Place neighborhood today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
People always ask me, hey, Livy, what fuels you? Passion, competition, the pursuit of greatness? None of those things. Raising Cane's is the only fuel I need. Their cooked-to-order chicken fingers always fills my tank, and the crinkle-cut fries and Texas toast are the perfect top-off for the perfect road trip. So when I'm running on fumes, I always refuel at Raising Cane's. But turns out, not everything's fueled by Cane's. Guess the old girl prefers her sauce unleaded. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
The end of the school year is drawing near, which means graduation parties are coming soon. Are you prepared for hosting? Führer's Cheese Spread is the dip that brings everyone together to celebrate graduations and the close to a great school year. And it goes well with crackers, meats, soups, and more. How could you consider throwing a party without it? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's Cheese Spread. No graduation party is complete without it. A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Rick Heyman here from Sauter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sauterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you can bring a friend anytime and so much more when you join today. You heard that right. Conquer the stair climber with your partner in climb. Enjoy a post-workout recovery session in the hydro massage and do it all again with access to any of our 2,700 convenient locations. So, you coming? Get all the perks with the PF Black Card for $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, you won't want to miss this exclusive offer. Deal ends June 13th.
See Club for details.
Back to old school with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're here for Old School, Wilderness Ridge, 27th-ish, and Yankee Hill here in Lincoln. I'm Austin Orman. If you wouldn't mind, we'll follow on Twitter. Be nice if you're on the formerly the Bird site at Austin_Orman. Some personal stuff, lots of sports stuff. Usually trying to get a joke off. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Or you can just be a part of the show, 402-464-5685 by texting into our Sauter Heyman Jewelers text line. Don't forget we are also on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So you can drop a comment on those platforms, or thank you to Allo as well for giving us channel 961 on their cable package. Big Bang Hank, get some H2O, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate it, Hank. I am trying my darndest. I promise you I am. I've been hydrating all day. Anyone's been on air with me can attest to that. Finished a couple liters of water throughout the day. Been a lot on air in a great way. There's been a lot to talk about. Of course, Bach just got back, so I was in on the captain there for a week and a half or so. So it's been busy times. My voice is fighting through it. I'm trying to hold on. So my apologies for the coughs and the sputters. But bear with me. Please bear with me. I'm doing the best I can here. Speaking about doing the best he can, Jack Caglione, Cubsker brings us up on our Sutter Heyman Jewelers text line. Lots of homers by the Royals, just none by Cags. Definitely intriguing, but at least there's a little production there. I had this pulled up before. I got to go to StatCast Jack Caglione once again. I know it's Caglione, but it's spelled like Caglione. Jack Caglione so far this year, 6 games, 25 plate appearances. He is 6 for 25. Okay, 240 batting average. Not great, not terrible. Again, in the first 25 games, it's okay. It's fine. That's, of course, boosted by a 4-hit game that he had yesterday, 3 singles and a double for Cags, which clearly boosted his average quite a bit. The unfortunate part, Cags' on-base percentage is the same as his batting average, 240 and 240. He has yet to take a walk in a Royals uniform, which is not exactly shocking for this franchise, right? I think the last person they had that drew 100 walks in a season was Kevin Seitzer. So for those of you who are Royals fans, that's a name you'll know. Kevin Seitzer, a former hitting coach for the Royals, for the Braves, I think, when they won the World Series, and now I believe he's an assistant or an advisor of some sort with the Seattle Mariners. And, of course, the M's are notable for what Cal Raleigh is doing, on pace for like 66 home runs right now as a catcher, essentially being his primary position. But back to Cags. Through 6 games, he's putting up an OPS of 560. And you're looking at, for a regular everyday player, 700. It's kind of the bottom of the barrel for what you want to be scraping. But what has everyone so excited about Jack Caglione is the exit velocities, right? Even though the results aren't there yet, he's been hitting the ball hard. It's been good contact off the bat. So then if you look at his expected numbers, okay, so his expected on-base percentage is 377. Right now it's just 240. So there's a 140-ish point difference there between what he is doing and what, based off of his swings and batted ball data, would tell you it would be. His batting average is 100 points lower at 240 than his 343 expected. His expecting slugging percentage of 542, that's 220 points higher than what he's actually doing right now. And there's a really interesting thread on Twitter by a guy I know I've shouted out on this program and certainly on the Baseball Corner before, Sean Newkirk, who's a Royals fan, does some stats and sabermetric stuff on the side. With the batted ball data, he's saying, yes, he's hitting the ball hard. That is Jack Caglione, but it's not just that he's unlucky necessarily. So, yes, he is underperforming, right? His expected on-base batting average and slugging by a pretty significant margin compared to the rest of the people who are hitting the baseball like he is. But there's a reason for that. And one of the reasons is that Cags' spray chart has him hitting the ball, pretty much everywhere, whereas the most, impactful place to hit the ball is in the air to the pull side. And that's what he hasn't been doing. He's had quite a few balls that he's hit pretty much straight up the middle. He's laced up the middle. His hits were there. And on the one hand, that's great. That's really good. It means he's on the pitches. He's not getting fooled. His timing is there. It's where it's supposed to be. And he likes sending a ball right back up the box. That was his, I think, his second, third, and fourth hits yesterday were all back up the middle. It was a double off of a lefty against lefty matchup fastball to the right center field gap, which is a good sign. You also had Jack Caglione for his fourth single, just send it right back up the box. Nice, easy swing on a line drive. Excuse me, the pitcher kind of bent out of the way to avoid getting hit. So being on the ball, squaring it up, and sending it right back through the box to center field, on the one hand is a good thing, but for a power hitter like Jack Caglione, that's a guy that you kind of want to be a little bit pull-oriented, right? Because that way, the fences are closer. There's a lot of balls that will have, good expected batting averages and whatnot. But Sean Newkirk points out a couple of swings from one of the Royals' losses in the series to the White Sox was Caglione hit a ball with an expected batting average of 606, an on-base expectancy of 1.223, and a slugging percentage of 2.374, which tells you more often than not, that's going for a double at the very least, if not a home run. Problem was, even in not the biggest park, Caglione hit it to center field. If he gets around on it and pulls it, it's a home run with the way he hit it. But he was right on it timing-wise instead of a little early on it, and it ends up as a routine fly out to center with Luis Robert. Another example that he points out that I think is probably more instructive is what Newkirk points out is Caglione's third hardest hit ball so far. An expected batting average of 423. That's pretty good. And a lot of people on Twitter, after just seeing the play, said, he hit it to Nolan Arenado. He got robbed. That's a platinum glover over there. But when you look at the 112 mile per hour exit velocity off the bat, number one, it was right at Arenado, who was shifted over a little bit, but it was also on the ground. And what Jack Caglione has done through his first 6 major league games is pound the ball into the ground, almost Eric Hosmer style, right? You think about, Hos being the last super ballyhooed Royals first base prospect. Vinny Pasquantino got some late hype after he had as many, I think, homers and walks as strikeouts in the minor leagues for a little bit. But Vinny Pasquantino was never as hyped up as Eric Hosmer was back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. But Eric Hosmer became renowned for just spiking the ball into the ground. He would hit it really hard off the bat, but it would go straight into the ground and result in a lot of groundouts for a guy that probably should have, given his frame, possessed more power and hit for more home runs than he actually did. And that's the draw with Jack Caglione, is his power, the ability for him to impact a game and change a game with one swing. It's really hard to do that when you hit the ball on the ground. Right now, again, through just 6 games, Jack Caglione's ground ball rate is 52.4%. Some of that will come with time, right? A guy with a little bit of a natural uppercut swing, not crazy, given his contact profile. Excuse me, but Jack Caglione is hitting the ball on the ground far too much. Once he understands and figures out Major League pitching and how not just to make contact with it, but to get underneath it and lift it a little bit, Jack Caglione's going to take off. The fact that he's kept his head above water, is hitting 240 through his first 6 games, is not nothing, right, for his first taste of Major League pitching. On the low, the White Sox have one of the better staffs in MLB. At least they started the year off this way. The guys they faced against the Cardinals weren't half bad either. Shout out John in Cortland, one of our resident Cardinals fans on the text line. But, of course, the fun test is going to come starting tomorrow. You'll hear it right here on 93.7. The ticket for the next 3 days. Jack Caglione's home debut series comes against the New York Yankees. And that's really interesting. I think we get Noah Cameron versus Max Fried tomorrow to start it off. And I would expect Caglione to be in the lineup, even though it's against a lefty, because Max Fried's numbers, he has reverse platoon splits, which normally you would expect an opposite-handed batter to have success against an opposite-handed pitcher. So a righty hitter would have better numbers against a lefty pitcher, and a lefty hitter would have better numbers against a righty pitcher, for example. But Max Fried's splits this year so far, lefties have had more success than righties. So I'd expect Caglione to be in the lineup there. But some of those numbers from Sean Newkirk, when you look at guys that have the average exit velocities that Jack Caglione has been putting up and similar-ish launch angles, you're in really good company for Jack Caglione for the type of swing that you're taking and how you're hitting the ball. Here are the names without the numbers. O'Neal Cruz, Aaron Judge, James Wood, Shohei Ohtani, Ronald Acuna Jr., Pete Alonso, Vladdy Jr., Yandy Diaz, Kyle Schwarber, Matt Olson, Juan Soto, Austin Riley, just some of the names. That is incredible company to be keeping. But again, if you look at that list, their ground ball percentage Not only does Caglione have the second highest ground ball percentage, one of only four of those guys that's over 50%, Cags is the second highest at 52.4% of his batted balls are ground balls, behind only Yandy Diaz. But Caglione's average sprint speed of 25.5 miles per hour, as they give a cursory scroll through this list, that's the third slowest on this list. It's not that Caglione is slow by any means, right? He's always going to be a below average runner by virtue of being, 6'5", 250. It's hard to get that frame to move pretty quick. But for a guy that's not going to beat out infield singles very often, if ever, he especially needs to be putting the ball in the air even more to take advantage of the type of swing that he has, right? To take advantage of those exit velocities. So it'll be really interesting to see over the course of the next, hopefully this series and the rest of the homestand, it's the Yankees and the A's for the Royals before they hit the road to go to Texas. Can Caglione start lifting the ball in the air and provide that home run pop that the Royals drafted him for? Of course, Kauffman has a reputation of being a bad park for home runs, which on the one hand is absolutely true. But a guy with Jack Caglione's power should be able to hit it out of Kauffman anyways, right? Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani have never had issues getting the ball out of Kauffman Stadium. So I think for the average hitter, maybe it's a little tougher, but Jack Caglione is not an average hitter or an average power hitter. At least that's not why the Royals drafted him, right? So the boundaries of Kauffman Stadium should not be that big of an issue for Jack Caglione. I'll be really curious to see how this series against the Yankees goes as he makes his home debut. Got another really fun question here from Cubsker on the text line. Let's go ahead and get ready to step aside and send it to a break. We'll have one final segment here from Wilderness Ridge. We'll wrap up Old School, put a bow on the day from Wilderness Ridge next on the Ticket.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top-quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships, one with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
I tried to hide my cigarette smoking. Then I was rushed into emergency surgery to repair the damage smoking did to my heart. It shocked everyone because they thought I was healthy. Yet because I smoked, I had a severe heart condition that nearly killed me. My tip is, you may be able to hide your smoking from the world, but you can't hide from the damage smoking does to your body.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Breathe easier inside your home with Bryant. Eliminate allergens and odors and control humidity too. For a breath of fresh air, call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
People always ask me, hey, Livy, what fuels you? Passion, competition, the pursuit of greatness, none of those things. Raising Cane's is the only fuel I need. Their cook-to-order chicken fingers always fills my tank, and the crinkle-cut fries and Texas toast are the perfect top-off for the perfect road trip. So when I'm running on fumes, I always refuel at Raising Cane's. But turns out, not everything's fueled by Cane's. Guess the old girl prefers her sauce unleaded. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
Be at the 32nd Annual Testicle Festival for live music and, of course, balls. It's at Round the Bend Steakhouse in Ashland, June 14th from 11 to 10. Take I-80 exit 426, roundthebendsteakhouse.com.
Lincoln's new craft cocktail lounge is Bar 48 in Lincoln. Located at 2639 North 48th Street, Bar 48 offers everything from cocktails to beer to wine and so much more. With summer right around the corner, you can always enjoy Bar 48's frozen beverages. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on their live music performances every Saturday night. Make plans to visit Bar 48 on North 48th Street in the heart of the University Place neighborhood today.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Early break.
I'm not a dog expert. No, it's not. I don't mind dog. I'm not a dog expert, though.
He does talk to chickens, though. It's
I
very
talked to
endearing.
chicken. Talked to another chicken this past week.
Talk to chickens.
What was that? Do it again.
With Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, and Bill Bush from 6 to 9 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to old school with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
One final segment here from Wilderness Ridge. It has been a fantastic day. We've been out here since the drive at 9, finishing up our last 10 minutes or so. It's been a great day for the Amon Green Foundation's Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament. Thanks to everyone who made it possible, who made the day sounds like a success, both on and off the golf course. We're headed back to our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, 402-464-5685. Who is Husker Nation adopting as their team for the College World Series? I'll take your thoughts, 402-464-5685. Your options, Louisville, Oregon State, Arizona, Coastal Carolina, UCLA, LSU, Arkansas, and then, of course, the winner of Murray State and Duke. That game coming up tonight. I'm going to guess it's, 6 o'clock Central Time, so about 14 minutes or so away from first pitch there at Jack Combs Field in Durham. Who are you adopting? Husker fans, do you pick a team to root for? Do you not pick a team to root for? You just go enjoy the experience. Let me know your College World Series rooting interest. You got a couple responses already. Scott in Minnesota is saying Oklahoma State Beavers. Augie is going to cheer for the Omahogs. Arkansas, Claytonia John is going to pull for Coastal Carolina. Kip is going to pull for UCLA. He says UCLA 100. Root for the team you beat. All right, so let's go through these first four options. Oregon State. Why should Nebraska fans adopt Oregon State as their team? Well, number one, Huskers won a series against Oregon State right here in Lincoln. All right, Oregon State is a familiar team. I think they're, relatively anodyne in terms of the fan base. They've had their highs and their lows as a program on and off the field. But that's a relatively familiar face. Maybe you root for Oregon State as just one last thank you to them for sending Nebraska Mike Riley, or maybe that's a reason you root against them, depending on your mindset. So Oregon State, I think that's fine. That's a solid team. I'd get behind them for the way they navigated their schedule as an independent, finding their way, really across the country. Like Scott in Minnesota just said, they're realignment survivors. It sounds like I just saw this from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports. Sounds like the remaining teams in the group let me just read Ross's tweet instead of stumbling over my words. Ross Dellinger, all 8 members of the new Pac-12 have signed their grant of rights and membership agreements, a conference spokesperson tells Yahoo Sports. It's a signal that the league is finalizing a new media rights package that's expected in the coming days. So Oregon State and Washington State will be among those schools. So yeah, good for them. Surviving realignment, they'll be probably the 2 flagship members of the Pac-12 conference. Not mad at them for that by any means. So I think Oregon State is a respectable choice. Augie says the Omahogs, that is Arkansas, obviously. Dave Van Horn, one of the best coaches in college baseball history, but right now he's Dan Marino, right? Doesn't have a ring, has not found a way to get over the hump. And of course, there's some history there with Oregon State as Arkansas leads the College World Series 1-0. They're ahead, I think it was 2-1 in the 9th inning with 2 outs. Oregon State flares a little pop-up into foul territory that 3 Arkansas players miscommunicate on. Falls harmlessly to the turf, or the dirt, I suppose, down the right field line there. Oregon State ropes a single to tie the game and then ends up winning it 3-2. And then the Beavers would come back and ultimately win the College World Series title just a handful of years ago. So if you're still aboard the Dave Van Horn train, still grateful for what it was that he did to get, Nebraska baseball to prominence in his time in Lincoln. Yeah, I think you root for Arkansas, unless you're rooting against the SEC, unless Arkansas is the representation of the big bad boys on the block for the SEC. They're the highest rated team remaining. They've been here too often. You're sick of them. And why would Dave Van Horn ever leave Lincoln? That's why you'd root against Arkansas. Claytonia John says Coastal Carolina. Yeah, they're hot. They're fun. They are on a roll. I gave this stat a couple segments ago, but in case you missed it, Coastal Carolina has not lost since April 26th. Over a month of winning consecutively for them, and they're undefeated in the postseason. Swept through the Sun Belt Conference Tournament, swept through their Conway Regional that they hosted, and then beat Auburn out in just 2 games in the Auburn Super Regional. They're hot. They're fun, but if you're looking for new blood, hey, guess what? They've won a College World Series. They did it just about a decade ago in 2016. Maybe Joe Mowgli is a reason to root for them or against them. I won't tell you one way or the other. Kip says UCLA, root for the team that you beat. Again, kind of on the Oregon State side, but I actually give the credence to this argument to Oregon State, who you have less history with. And I am big on not rooting for your conference. Just because your neighbor's on the same street, I don't have to like you. I think it would be, cool for the Big Ten to get some validation by winning the Big Ten or the College World Series. But also, why should I root for UCLA's success? Does UCLA root for Nebraska's success? No, I don't think so, nor should they. If UCLA wins a couple games, it's really no skin off Nebraska's back, but I don't want to let UCLA get hot, get rolling again to that degree. So I'm not rooting for UCLA. I'm not actively rooting against them, but I think the root for the team you beat argument to me is a little stronger and carries more weight for Oregon State because they're not in the same conference as Nebraska. Kip says, you want your neighbor's house to burn. That doesn't help your property value. I didn't root for UCLA to go 0-2. That's not what I'm saying, right? Rock Chalewski is a bunch of fun. He's a stud, and I think he's a darn good player. He's going to be in the conversation for, definitely first-round pick next year. But no, I'm not necessarily rooting for Big Ten teams to win their bowl games in football either, right? I wasn't rooting for Ohio State or Oregon to win the college football playoff for Nebraska's sake. It doesn't really help Nebraska that much in any immediate, tangible way. So it's not that I'm rooting against UCLA actively, but I have no real reason to root for them. They wouldn't root for us. So, no, I'm not fully on board the UCLA train. Augie says Oregon State beat Carolina a few years ago in the College World Series. Screw them. No, God bless Oregon State for that. And I hope Carolina enjoys their early vacation that they got. They, of course, hosted the Super Regional, got up 1-0 on Arizona, and the Wildcats came roaring back to win that one in Game 3 in relatively dramatic fashion. Of course, I am just playing with you, Augie, one of our favorites here. But how funny would it be if North Carolina, that hosted a regional, hosted a Super Regional, got bounced, and little old Duke baseball made it to Omaha? Brad says, I'm just going to drink beer and watch paint dry. That's a missed opportunity, Brad. The College World Series is pretty fun. I would tell you to get on board and certainly come join us up at Blur Events. I think it's 1001 at Cass Street, north side of the Hilton Omaha up there. Louisville, root for them because they haven't been to Omaha in a while, if ever. They also wear red. You root against them because you could argue they stole Lamar Jackson from Nebraska. That probably had more to do with the Bo Pelini firing than anything Louisville did, but it's still out there. And LSU, old news. But you root for them because you know what? They're good for business. So if it helps Omaha, it helps the College World Series. Maybe it helps Nebraska in some way, shape, or form. It's a good LSU team. Maybe not the vintage LSU team of years past, but I think there are a lot of people going to be jumping on the bandwagon for the LSU Tigers for all the times they've been in Omaha. I'd be curious to know if people think Arkansas represents more of that SEC, big, bad, mean, ugly team, or if that's LSU to them. I think LSU probably carries a bit of that reputation for me having won the College World Series, but I could be convinced either way. Let's go ahead and call it a show there. Ellie, you can go ahead and hit the music. We'll be done here in just about a minute. Once again, huge thanks to Wilderness Ridge for a fantastic event. Thanks to everyone who came out and played today, and a big thanks to all the sponsors, sponsoring prizes, sponsoring holes, stopping on, talking to us. It's been a blast for Strick, for the rest of the crew here. This is Austin Norman. Been a great day out here at Wilderness Ridge. We will talk to you again tomorrow for your daily programming starting at 6 with early break. And don't forget, get in early and give Jake Sorensen grief for being such a bad golfer today. Get your texts ready. Fire those off starting at 6 o'clock tomorrow.
I have one comment before we
Please.
get out of here really quickly. We actually won.
Whoa! In spite of Jake.
We got third place in flight number 1. Shout out to the friends here at Wilderness Ridge. They've been incredible. It's been a blast. It's been a great time.
It has. We'll talk to you soon.
The end of the school year is